jobs. I have a couple of students that just graduated, and one was with a job. He is in a situation he's not gonna make a move. The other one took a job that I consider to be in her field. I don't know if we've considered to be in her field, but I was very excited for her. So it's just trying to understand that whole issue. What if they continue on to school? Does that count against us?
No, it counts for us.
Okay.
So if they continue on either here or to another school, so
Okay.
say they finish their associate and come back and want to take their bachelor's here or at Strayer or wherever, it counts, if we capture it, and we have to capture it on paper, et cetera,
Okay.
it counts as an ed waiver, and an ed waiver sort of just takes them out of the equation. It doesn't count as much as a placement would count, but it sort of just rolls them back out.
Okay.
So it's very helpful to get that.
So we should keep career services informed about anything we hear of our alums.
Absolutely. And that's why, if you remember really, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Whatever year we went from, the first year we had 16 graduates, the second year we had 179 graduates. And when we hit the 179 graduate group, we weren't prepared for it, okay? It literally took the help of every person in school. We had, for those who were here, we had an Employment Madness event, we had pep rallies, we had everyone working on placement. Guess what? We made our goal, because we can't not make our goal, and it was all legit. But we worked like crazy, and everyone counted. Every person on the campus helped us get there. They would tell us about jobs, they would Facebook people, they would offer letters of recommendation if we, anything to find out information to help students. And we made our goal. We've never not hit the 70 mark. So, but talking about in-field, so Michelle, Renee, and Jerry Lynn, they can't just approve it as being in field. They have to send it to a review group in our central services, which is in Cincinnati. And based on the criteria set, they determine if it's an in-field placement or if it's not. And it's very specific, and often it takes this amount of paperwork to document in-field. So give me an example. Student is in accounting?
The student is an accounting major. She had an offer from TD Bank in customer service. She had 2 or 3 other jobs that she was looking at. She took a job as a property manager. I know what that job entails. It is about half accounting, half customer service, so it's an ideal placement for her. It's very good, suits to her skills. What I don't know is if it counts as an accounting job.
Well, what would have to happen, Renee does the business side. Renee would get a job description, get a letter from a student stating that she's using, half of her job consists of what she was trained on here. The employer will have to sign off, et cetera, et cetera. It'll be much documentation, but I bet we can count that as long as we show that she's doing accounting functions. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the title accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's not as easy as just one job description and it goes in. So.
Good thing we're still talking.
Have we identified the causes for the people that drop?
You want to talk to that, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, there are several big categories. Oftentimes, transportation comes into play, and that's why, we're trying to get the posting to be something that can at least help a student when they had a difficult time for that week, so to speak. Transportation's a big one. Childcare comes into play all the time. Illness comes into play all the time. Those are our big 3, I would say, that we're always trying to fight. And then after that, it can be, pick it. I mean, there's a number of things, but those are really our hot topics. Family and illness being a big one. But transportation, you'd be surprised how many times you probably heard it enough. But yeah,
Change of work schedules.
the work schedule conflict, that's the other.
Yes.
So that's why we try to do, all the different things we can do to help them change schedules while they're here, or, allow the host to hold them over, or talk to Ryan about resources that we can have to help them with childcare. I mean, we put in about every metric that we can in measurement to help, but we're always looking for ways to combat those things, definitely.
And if you don't know who to send someone to, so someone says to you, I have daycare issues, either send them to Drew and Drew will get them to Ryan. Do you know who Ryan is?
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan's the person that really tries to help people pave the way through those problems and overcome them. We also have an outside service. Do people know when people have really challenging personal issues? What's it called?
Talk one-on-one.
Talk one-to-one. It's a referral source, a service, and they can actually do face-to-face counseling, and we pay for that.
And to get the person into that, that would be through
Ryan.
Ryan.
And that's usually for maybe abuse situations in the family, something pretty, not daycare, but it's something
Right.
more intense, emotional, maybe the spouse's, drug addiction, something like that.
Okay.
They'll still address some of those minor issues, like they'll refer them to United Way,
Okay.
that group
Okay.
of information. So, like, you can refer the student, like, if they're just overwhelmed, because sometimes people get super overwhelmed with not having childcare, like,
Right.
and I refer, go on and call these people, and,
Okay.
see what you can, get done.
Okay.
So they'll help out with minor stuff too.
And then often when they come back, if they're ready, we have an interview process where they sit with the department chair and we go through a couple of pages of, well, here's why you specifically dropped last time. Can you show us how things are better now? Have you,
Okay.
show me documentation that you're ready to graduate now? 'Cause
Or you're ready to get back into the
Yeah,
program.
because if you drop a second time, I tell them it's unlikely you'll be able to come back. If you
Okay.
drop again.
Okay.
Any questions before we go on? Okay, so this is the dreaded data sheet, and I say it's dreaded
Yes.
because if you make one mistake, we have to have you do it over and over and over again. It drives us all crazy. Probably Heather and you the most, though, because Heather's the one that's on task to get this. Every July 1st, it has to be updated, okay? And we are always audited on this. And we keep getting different directions on how to fill it out. And so every time we tell you something, it's slightly different. When we get into probably May, we're gonna start this again and ask you to fill them out. And we're gonna give an example out, and someone's gonna come in and walk you through it. Maybe we'll just get in the computer lab and do it, because I am not kidding. It's back and forth. I would bet everyone goes back and forth 2 or 3 times. And it's little stuff, but when we get the internal audits, they say, you have something on here that's something on your resume that's not on here, or vice versa, so you have to take it off. It has to be consistent with your transcript and your resume and all that other stuff. So, little stuff, but again, it's a requirement. We have to have it on file, and we always get audited on them. So, and Heather's usually the keeper of this, so please, if you can be responsive to her, it'll keep her hair from turning gray like mine. So that's a little bit more on that. And we gave you a sample one, which you have in front of me, in front of you, and that is how we've been told to fill it out this time. It might change slightly by the time we get to July. But again, cooperation is greatly appreciated. So not only do we have an accrediting body over the school, in many cases, we have programmatic accreditation, and that's typically with the specialty programs. Here it is OTA, nursing, surge tech, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the RMA. But I didn't ask you, but would you talk a little bit about the tests that the OTAs go through in order to?
Sure. Upon completion of the program, the OTA student then sits for a national exam and must pass it. Otherwise, they keep taking it until they pass. They cannot practice without the credentials, which that gives them a COTA, Certified Occupational Therapy Assistant. And we went through initial accreditation when I first came on board in June of 2011. Our first visit was prepared for and all ready to go when our reviewer became ill, and they rescheduled it from September to February. That being a new fiscal year, I had to redo the whole thing. So that was fun. But we made it through with flying colors, had a real nice little snuggle time with them for a week, and everything. And met them at a conference in the years to come, and have always been regarded highly, so that was very nice. even had lunch with one of them, which is sometimes not allowed, so that was very cool. And we're up again, coming up. We're preparing, we've been preparing. We live like we are in the clinic, always survey ready. So we're just putting together our final binders and things, and we'll wait for if they have in fact wanted to go totally electronic, or if they'll still accept hard copy, which I think is better for what they do and need to do. And I think they'll find that out before they come in our door, so I think we'll be fine. But Karen and Kelly and I, we take a little piece of it each month and keep at it, so.
Well, Kelly and I finished our part.
Okay. They have this other job, you know, program job.
Really couple of really important points, and one is that a student can go through our entire program if they don't pass the exam. They cannot work in the field, okay? So when people are looking down on our kinds of schools, one of the responses I say to them, our students sit for the same exam that someone from XYZ school does or ABC school does. And when you say that, they have to recognize that at least in that program, you are teaching apples to apples.
Every program is accredited by the same body, ACOT, for OT programs, so it quacks like a duck. That's what I say.
So does each discipline have an exam then?
These
That's
two.
listed here?
Yeah.
What's MA stand for?
I'll get to it. But thanks for asking. So the other thing I want to point out that Cindy mentioned is really important. You don't prepare for an accreditation visit, you live it every day. You have to be living to the standard because you can't go back and cover it up. It doesn't work like that. So you have to every day be living to that standard. And that is key, and that's why all these crazy emails come out. Can you give us this? Can you be sure to do that? Can you do this? It's about living to the accreditation standard every day, not getting there. Nursing has Board of Nursing.
Yes.
And they've come out for our initial visit, approved us, and now they're coming back August.
We're still in initial approval. So we went down to the Board of Nursing, so again, we're still in initial approval. We have our first class graduated, and they're facing their boards here in a couple of months. And they'll come out because it's like 6 months afterwards. So they'll be here in August to do another review, and whether or not we move out of the initial is up to them. So it's the same kind of thing, a review of the program. Okay, so they'll look at us, they'll look at all parts